This is the woven pullover blouse. Now, it's a woven pullover blouse, and the picture that you see in the book is with a dolman sleeve. So I'm going to show you how to make a dolman sleeve. But a dolman sleeve is a great sleeve, especially for those of us that have a little larger upper arm, because it allows you a little more movement. You can make that dolman a long sleeve, or you can make that dolman a short sleeve. That's totally up to you. The one that I have on the dress form is a knit, but you can make this in woven as well. So whichever one you choose to do. Now you notice that there's two colors here. This is just a yoke, and I'm going to draw that for you so that if you want to put that on your woven, you can do that. Now, first of all, the directions are in the book, so make sure that you check out the directions. Make sure that you start with your master top pattern. As all the garments that we're making always start with the master top pattern. And make sure that you start with the master sleeve. So I'm going to show you how to draw the dolman, so you really don't need the sleeve unless you want to make this pullover with sleeves in it, in the armhole. That's, again, totally up to you. Now, I want to tell you again, we are working with woven fabric. And woven fabric does not stretch. So if you want to make this out of knit, like this one, you can do it. But this is what a knit does. Knit stretches, woven doesn't. You don't need interfacing for this garment at all, because there's nothing that is interfaced. So you're just ready to go with your pattern. Now when you pull your big pattern out, you've drawn your master pattern, but on the opposite side of that is a dolman overlay, and that's what we're going to draw from. So what I'm going to do is to lay that pattern down like this. I'm going to take my master pattern, and all I have to do is to line up the center like this. Now, let me pull this up just a bit so you can see it a little bit better. And can you see where this dolman is going to go? So you can see on the side seam exactly where this is going to go. So I'm going to take another piece of patternese, and that's what I'm making my patterns out of. And I'm going to lay it on here like this. And I'm going to line up that center, just like that, okay? Then I'm going to use my pattern weights like this. So let me take this pad out so we can see it just a little bit better. It'll be easier for me to draw. So when I lay this down, make sure you got your yardstick handy, and make sure you have your pattern weights. You know, it's a whole lot easier to use pattern weights than it is to use straight pins when you're working with paper patterns underneath. I've seen a lot of you use tape to tape it down, but if you purchase these weights, I promise you, that stuff's not going anywhere. So make sure that you use the weights. These weights come from Fashion Supplies Incorporated, and they're really good because they're nice and heavy, and they'll keep everything nice and flat. So all you have to do is to trace around the neck edge like this, trace the front like this, and then you have two lines here on the dolman, and I'm going to draw them both for you. The outer line is for larger arms, and you're welcome to use that and then take it in if you need to. But the lower line, that would be for blouses, because you don't need quite so much if you're not wearing this over something else. So I'm going to here, and then you can see this is where my pattern is. So this is the line I'm going to follow right there. And then I'm going to cut it off as a short sleeve. If you want long sleeves, keep on measuring. Then all I have to do is to draw the whole bottom of my garment like this, all the way down. Now I've created one large dolman, and I'm going to show it to you right now. Let me take everything else out from underneath so that you can see exactly where I'm going. So this is my one large dolman pattern. This is my center front and my center back. There's my back, there's my front. So you've got the center. Now if you want to do what I have on the dress form right here, if you look, that's a scoop neck, okay? So a scoop neck would be scooped about 2 inches down. So I'm going to draw that for you so you can see it. So this is where the scoop would be if you were scooping out the neck. Now, if you want to create the yoke that you see on the shirt behind me, all you have to do is to measure down however far you want that yoke to be. Before you cut this out of fabric, draw your line, and before you ever cut anything apart, take it to the mirror, hold it up to yourself in a mirror, and you can see exactly where that yoke is going to be. You don't want it right there. You want it above or you want it below, but you don't want it right here. So hold it up to yourself. It amazes me how many people sew and then they put it on and they go, oh, that's not where I wanted it. You can see through this stuff. You can see exactly where you want it. So make sure that you do it that way. It's a whole lot easier. Now you would cut this apart on this line if you want to do the yoke, and you would add a 1/2 inch to each one of these pieces to sew it back together, because the goal is to equal what you started with. So now let me show you some little hints about finishing this shirt. So the first thing that we're going to do is to cut bias strips. Now this is a woven garment, so you've got to finish off that neck edge in some way, and this garment has been finished off with a bias strip, and you can see it right here. Now let me show you how you're going to make these bias strips. You're going to use a bias tape maker to put the strips through, to fold them for you, but let me show you just a little bit about bias. This is the cross grain of fabric. This is the lengthwise grain of fabric. And this, let me move this a second. This is the bias, like that. All bias tape makers, every single one of them, come with directions. Follow the directions for how wide to cut that bias strip according to the size of the tape maker that you're using, the bias tape maker that you're using. So I'm just going to draw another line and show you that would be the bias. The reason that you use bias is that bias stretches, so that when you put this around the neck edge of your garment, you will be able to stretch it. And let me show you, this is what it looks like when it comes out. It's been folded for you. I love spray starch, so I would suggest you spray starch this, and the only reason is it's still going to stretch for you, but what it's going to do more than anything else is it's going to make a nice crease, because you're actually going to sew in that crease. So I'm going to show you on the armhole. You would do the neck edge exactly the same way, but on the armhole, can you see where that's been stitched right in that crease? Then what you're going to do is to take this wonderful product called Steam-A-Seam, and Steam-A-Seam is sticky, and you can see that I have a little piece of sticky on here already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bias, doesn't it look nice? And I'm either going to fold the whole thing to the inside to make it disappear. That would be on the neck edge as well as on the armhole, whichever you choose to do. Now, let me go back and tell you something. If you're making a dolman sleeve, all you have to do is hem it. You don't even have to do this. So once I do this, I can either fold the whole thing to the inside, or I can literally fold it in half and finger press it. And finger pressing is exactly what it says, finger pressing. Then you can go back and stitch it, and you don't need any pins. So it's not going to go anywhere if you use the Steam-A-Seam. So make yourself a pullover woven blouse. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now it's time to check out the website. Everything is on there. You can purchase the pattern, the book, all the notions I talked about. You can join the Fit Club and check out the classes where I'm teaching. And be sure to follow me on Facebook.